welcome to Your Soul Wisdom, hosted by Yana Amor Manocas. In each episode, we invite you on a transformative journey delving into the profound mysteries and wisdom of the soul. Join us as we explore a wide array of spiritual topics and sacred practices that nurture and heal the soul, from reincarnation and soul contracts to the enigmatic experiences of womb alchemy and astral travel. Our discussions are designed to enlighten, inspire, and deepen your understanding of your own soul's journey. With Your Soul Wisdom, nothing is off limits. Hello, everybody. We have a very interesting show today on timelines, which is so exciting. And I think something that just a lot of people don't really know much about, or what does that mean? How does it show up? And we're going to get into that. But today we're also joined by Nicole Frolick, who is our practical mystic, the host of the Enlighten Up podcast, founder of the Forbidden Journey. She has produced over 40 guided meditations, and I can go on and on. Nicole, welcome to our show.
That's so good to join all you fantastic ladies here today. I think I'm in for a treat.
Oh, hands down, that is happening. And so I think you're so perfect for our topic today because you talk about timelines all the time. And that's something that you and I have talked about before too, but something that happened to me specifically, maybe about a month or so ago, that I want to open up with, just so people can get an example of how it could really show up for you. And it's funny because I've always read Dolores Cannon talk about different clients that she's put under that have had these experiences. And I was like, what does that actually look like? And so what happened was I was working an event for our family olive oil business. And I went to go throw something. It was an outdoor event. I went to go throw something in the recycling bin. And it must have been, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 feet away from me. And as I go to throw it out, it's a straight shot. I open the bin, I throw it out, I come back. About 5-10 minutes later, I had something else I needed to recycle. And so I turn around. And as I'm walking towards a recycling bin in the same exact spot, all of a sudden, there is this bike rack. And in the States, they're like these huge metal racks where you could put your bikes. And there was a bike there. And it was blocking me from going to the bin. And I remember stopping going, this was not here 5 minutes ago. And it was this very clear moment, like, I know I'm not crazy. I know I didn't forget, because literally the second time I had to go to the bin, I had to walk around this bike and this bike rack to access the bin. I didn't do that the first time. So I had to go, okay, I somehow jumped a different reality timeline, something. And now this bike rack exists here. And then, of course, the rest of the time, I couldn't focus on anything else except trying to figure out what else may be different. But I realized, I was experiencing what I was reading about in Dolores Cannon's books. Right. So that is just a small example of how that could show up. Right. I'm sure there's people here who have bigger examples or different experiences.
Yeah.
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 Not everybody at once.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just yesterday. Okay. Just yesterday, I was in the car with my daughter. Okay. We're driving home from school. And she said, Mum, the clock just changed. It was 3:45 and now it says 3:37. What is that? So I'm just putting that out there because I haven't had that before, but she was literally looking at the clock and it changed. So there you go. And when I checked my phone, the phone and the car, time matched. Like, okay, well, it was interesting considering we had today coming up. So I'm just going to pop that one out there.
Wow. Okay,
That's
Nicole.
happened to me.
Yeah. Tell us.
Well, I mean, that's happened to me several times where I know that the time was not what it should be. Like it's either way too far ahead or it's actually gone behind. That's happened to me. So one of the things that kind of jumps into my mind of a very prevalent timeline shift is something that wasn't just like in a moment. It was something that so there was this guy that I was like so in love with for so many years, and but you know, like we weren't like together, and we would come together and then something would like push us apart. And so at this point last year, it looked like maybe it might be coming together, but I was a completely different person. You know, I had done a lot of like work and healing, and when we had met up together, I just didn't feel like the same about him that I used to, right? But I was like still kind of staying open, and like who knows, like maybe we're just friends, maybe it's more, I don't know. And so we ended up going on this trip together to do like an ayahuasca ceremony. And this was like late November, early December last year. And the version of him is unlike any version of him I've ever known. It was like the a-hole of all a-holes showed up. And I'm like, I am clearly
Oh my-
not meant to be with you. And I have clearly entered a whole new timeline. 'Cause I've never seen this person before. I didn't even know that it was possible for you to be this horrible of a man. Like it was mind blowing to me. And I knew in that moment that I'm like, I have completely entered into a much higher timeline where you are not supposed to be on my path anymore.
Oh my God. You know, there's a
Wow.
few people in my life I'm hoping to get there with. You know, but also there is this moment of, I will say, like for me over the last like month or two, I don't even know how I know this or why I know this or feel this, but there's these moments where I'm like, so much has shifted in my life that I realize and know I'm on a different trajectory, different timeline than I was a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, and a year ago. And it's not that anything is physically changed. It's just this knowing like, oh, you shifted. Something happened and you shifted. And now it feels like it's a higher, better timeline. I mean, what is better? I mean, that's all relative, but it's like you embody this feeling of like, oh, now I really understand this. I understand the feeling because I need to feel to really understand something. I have to feel it. I have to experience it. You can't just tell me and me be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It has to like live through me. And so being in that energetic space is wild because you feel like that shift. It's not like that.
You think you're going crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you can think you're literally going crazy. I remember feeling like literally repulsed by him, like repulsed. Like I just couldn't wait to get away from this person. And I'm like, I haven't even come close to that, like ever, ever, ever. And so it was just I was like, am I taking crazy pills? Do I even know this person? Like, it's just, you start to question your own sanity. It's almost like you're with a narcissist, you know, and you're like, who's the crazy one here?
Now, let me ask you.
Hey, you know, I've got to ask first because seriously, I am so confused. So
Me too.
you know,
I need
yeah, like
clarification
we
too.
just have
Yes.
to back this train up, ladies, before
Go.
you just
Reverse it.
like
Yeah.
you're going to have to explain some stuff about timelines because you know, for me, it sounds like maybe life to predict trajectories. But when I was trying to do some research for our episode and I was reading up on it, I know it's not that kind of thing. And, you know, I also want somebody, so I need you guys to explain what timelines are and what they look like and how they change. And there also seems to be like different timelines, like there's individual timelines for individuals, and then there's timelines for humanity or something. It seems like this kind of thing. And somebody needs to explain that stuff to me before I start, because I don't have any experience of this currently, possibly because I don't know about it. So, you know, what you don't know this kind of thing. But yes, thank you, Carly. We're sitting here going, this
Team
sounds
Rachel. Yeah, we need the foundation.
great. Yeah, someone please just list it out for
to
us.
me, I'm like,
Nicole.
what is the difference between a timeline shift and you just leveling up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And
I
dimensions.
suddenly
free
just don't like this
choice
asshole in
and
my
making
life.
going in a
He's,
different
like,
direction.
breathing heavily.
Yeah,
right?
no,
And, like,
that's a
it's
great
annoying me.
question.
You know what I mean? Yes. So
Yeah.
Mm.
So like to me, the way I see it is you can level up and everything else in your life can stay really similar. But for instance, like you're moving into a different timeline when maybe all of a sudden some of your relationships are very different and you have no explanation why. Like I've noticed, like, for instance, with my father, like I remember there was a time where I started to really awaken more and become much more intuitive and started to really allow myself to connect beyond these dimensions. And, and I stopped talking about it with my family because they just like thought I was crazy,
Right.
and so, but lo and behold, one time I go home, I travel back home to visit with my parents, and my dad starts having experiences and he starts asking me all these questions like, so tell me more, what does it mean about this and what does it mean about that? Like, he literally had his parents show up to him in a dream that was not a dream. They gave him an address and everything. He
Wow.
had there was the most powerful thing that happened to him was when he picked me up from the airport. We were sitting in the car and I noticed that he had like I don't know, like a bloody scab here, like right here, like really dried blood. And I was like, Dad, what happened to your face? And he's like, oh, he goes, it's the skin thing and I just forgot about it and I scratched it and I've been trying to go to the dermatologist, but I can't find the piece of paper that I left the dermatologist like phone number and address on. And I said, you don't remember like what their name is? You can't look it up in the phone? He goes, no. He goes, I can't remember anything. I've been searching high and low for weeks. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a shame, And so the next day we wake up and we're in the car driving down to go visit my sister. And he's like, Nicole, something really weird happened to me this morning. And I said, oh, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I was in my office and, I had my pile of papers that has been sitting there for weeks. And I had the window open. It was a nice October fall day in Canada. And all of a sudden, all of a sudden, like he hit his thing again, like this little piece like of dried blood. And he goes, gosh, he goes, I wish I could just find that number. And all of a sudden, a gust of wind comes through the window, blows the papers up and over. And on one side of the paper is sitting the number and the name of the doctor he's been looking for.
OMG.
I love
Wow.
And so like
It's
I
so
knew for me, I'm like, I'm in a different timeline because now my dad is like starting to awaken and he's like starting to like ask me questions that he would never have asked me before, And so that's one way of knowing. Another way of knowing is when all of a sudden you have all of these like synchronicity kind of flows, events that start happening just that are really helping you like not just elevate, but really bring you into a place that's a lot more in alignment with where you've wanted to be. The trick is that what a lot of people don't realize is that you can go into a quote unquote higher timeline, but you can easily fall back into a lower timeline.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I was gonna say, so for me, I spent years jumping timelines, years. And to the point whereby now I move timelines quite easily and quite frequently. And I think, as I've mentioned before, that I can get quite sick because I can almost get travel sickness because I'm shifting so much and shifting pretty quickly. I'm still trying to figure out or understand what it is that I'm doing or what it is that I'm doing it. I don't have as much control over it as I would like because I usually figure that I'm doing a lot of jumping when I become sick. I get kind of, it's more like a nausea. I get like a nauseous movement. And some people have actually seen me moving. So I could be online working with somebody and they can actually see me shifting. It's really quite odd. And somebody actually had said to me one time, do you realize that you're moving, you're shifting? And I thought, my God, you can see that? And it was like, yeah, so that was confirmation to me as well, that that's what's happening, because it's the only way that I could describe it. So a couple of things that happened to me was, the thing, I don't know if I explained it, was that years ago, there's a particular road that I used to travel all the time to work. So I traveled this time to work and they were building houses on one side of the road. There was 2 houses that they had taken back to brick and they were rebuilding it. I know they were doing this because, like here, our roads are very narrow, very small, very narrow. So when the trucks come in to bring in all the different stuff, the bricks or the mortar or the sand or the tiles or to deliver or to bring in the skips, they usually block off half the road. So half the road gets shut down. So, you know, there's a long pile of traffic. You've got to wait for the other cars to come by the other side before you can go round and go through. Used to drive me nuts when I get on that road and there'd be this truck there bringing all the stuff. And it took about a year to build these houses. So I could see how they were built, grey slate tiles, nice and everything. And I remember driving past it one morning and thinking, I wonder if once they're finished, if they've already sold them or if they've already got it sold, or how do they market it when they're doing it? Have they already marketed? Is somebody going to be moving it straight away? It looks really nice and stuff like that, and driving past it and going to work. So I had that thought must have been about a couple of months after that. I drove down the road and only one of the houses they had started working on.
That
and
is
I'm like,
wild.
no damn way. I've seen these houses being built. I know they've been built. I know the problems that they caused me getting to work every morning. And now one of them hadn't even been touched. One of them, they were starting to, take it back to brick. When I mean take it back to brick, it's almost like the roof comes off and everything, all the whatever's on it and everything like that. And the driveway, nothing, because they turned them into 2 brand new houses. And nope, only one of them has been built. I almost parked up my car and got out, but I didn't. You know what I mean? And I thought, there's no way. I thought I've jumped a timeline. I've slipped into something else. And at the time, I couldn't understand why. What does that mean? Am I supposed to look at that moment or what is going on in my life to figure out why I've jumped? Because like you were saying, I could have either have gone. I'd gone back. I hadn't gone forward.
Right.
I'd gone back in time to a different timeline. We're not even back in time. I haven't gone back in time. I've just slipped into another timeline. So that happened, and I have no idea where that happened. Having said that, that happened on a particular road that I traveled to work in. That was the same road where I saw a plane just stood stock still in the sky. And I know planes can't stand still in the sky. And I've read up on that, and not those big, massive planes that are bringing you in, say, from they've gone international flights. It wasn't no little plane, it was an international flight that was sat there in the sky. And I actually did park up my car and got out and looked at it, and I was thinking, how could nobody else see this? The plane is stood there in the sky. And I know they don't hover because they were a good ways away from the airport. And I know that if they've arrived too early or they can't get their landing, Bobby, they will circle. We know that they circle. Do you know what I mean? They don't just pull on the brakes and say, well, we're going to sit here and just wait until we can come in. Do you know what I mean? So it seems like that place that I used to travel through seems like a little portal, like a little time portal or some kind of vortex, some kind of portal that there is. So, that time I just thought, well, wow, this is kind of crazy, but obviously I'm the only person seeing this. The other one was where I lost a day. I lost a day whereby I woke up in the night. I think I've mentioned this before, must be something else I'd said or something else. I woke up in the night, went to the toilet, came back, looked out the window and thought, oh, it's bin day. Remember I was talking about the bins. I said, oh, it's bin day, which bin days are a Thursday. So I thought, oh, my son's put the bins out, because my husband was working and living in Scotland. So I thought, oh, my son's put the bins out. Oh, wow, okay, that's really cool, because I'd totally forgotten that it was bin day. I looked across the road, so I thought, is it bin day? I looked across the road and I saw their bins are out. I looked to the left, their bins are out. Couldn't see the ones on the right. But I could see further down the road, everybody's bins are out. I said, okay, it's bin day. Now, the thing was that I used to work then on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the bins go out on the Wednesday night, obviously, for Thursday. So I got up in the morning because I thought, oh, I'm going to work then. So I got up in the morning, showered, set off to work. And my husband hasn't called me. He usually calls me when he's going into work. So I called him when I was like halfway to work, and I said to him, and I was chatting to him, and I said to him, you sound like you're in bed. And he goes, yeah, because it's my day off. And I said, your day off? I said, no, it's not. Your day off is right, it's on the Wednesday. So he goes, yeah. So he goes, but you sound like you're in the car. I said, yeah, I'm going to work. He said, oh, you never said you were going to work. And I said, yeah, I'm going to work. It's Thursday. And he goes, no, babes, it's Wednesday. And I said, no, it's Thursday. It's bin day. I said, so it's a Thursday. I said, and I'm going to work. And he goes, no, he says, it's a Wednesday. And I said, well, stop messing around. I said, because I don't want to drive all the way to work for no reason.
Right.
I said, so is it Wednesday or Thursday? And he said, it's a Thursday. It's a Wednesday. And I said, you know what, you're messing around. So I parked up on the side of the road. I checked my calendar on my phone, and it was a Wednesday.
And
I thought,
you can't account for that entire missed day.
I cannot account for it. And I don't have the feeling, I didn't have the feeling in my body that, no, I'm supposed to be home another day. I didn't have that feeling. You know, nobody wants to go to work a day early. You know what I mean? If it's your day off, you know what I mean? But I didn't have that feeling in my body or in my fields. The thing was, though, when I went home, none of the bins are out. And I hadn't put the bins out. I hadn't brought the bins back in. And nobody else's bins was out. So the next day was a Thursday. It's bin day. We put the bins out. I went to work. When I came back from work, I went to take my bins in. My bins hadn't been emptied. So I went across the road, because we knew the people across the road, and I checked their bins. Their bins had been emptied. I came back. I went next door and I checked her bins. Her bins are emptied. And I went to the right because I thought, no, this is really weird. I went to the right, and their bins are right at the front. So I just peeked in their bins, and their bins were empty because they'd all gone in. They had taken their bins out. Their bins across the road were still out. Her bins were still out as well. But next door here, his bins had gone in. See, because I can remember this, like literally, I can still see it. Mm-hmm. My bins were the only bins on the road that had not been emptied.
So your bins also skipped timeline. Like,
well, it skipped
that
something.
Day. Yeah.
It skipped a timeline because it's almost as if for that moment, our house disappeared off the grid.
Amanda, I'm wondering if you're the portal, honey.
That's a good one.
This is why you're the multi-dimensional traveler.
Yes,
I am.
Exactly.
I do. And I do travel. That's what I said. I do travel a lot. And so when that was happening, I began to realize that there's something that I need to understand here. And it's not weird stuff. It's something that I need to understand. And over time, I'm getting to grips with understanding that there's so much more to us as humans and as spiritual people than we really do realize. And there's so much power that we have access to. There's so much stuff that we have access to that we have no idea that has been kept from us, that we don't know. I think that sometimes and I realized, you know what, just the other day I was I'd said to somebody, I was working with somebody, and I'd said to them, you know what, I said, the art of manifestation is not calling to you that what you're wanting, it's stepping into the timeline or the version of you where that already exists. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where that came from. It came from, I don't have a clue where it came from. The next day I woke up, picked up my phone, and I went on Facebook. It must have been about stupid o'clock in the morning, went on Facebook, and somebody had asked about timeline jumping, because they wanted to manifest something. And somebody had written the exact thing that I'd said to them, word for word. And it was that day they'd written it. It wasn't like I'd seen it before, weeks before. It was that word. So I think it's about something that sometimes I can change timelines, whereby I say something that I want, and then I make a step to the side, or I step to the left, or I make a step forward. I literally place myself in a next timeline.
Okay, let me ask this question then. Is then timeline really the same thing as frequency? Because if we're talking about jumping into the thing that we want, then technically it's about us choosing the vibration of the thing that we want to have or create or be in. So is timeline the same thing as vibration or frequency?
Okay, so it's interesting you're just asking that, because I wanted to say it is and it isn't. Yeah. It is and it isn't. Because for you, Amanda, I feel like what's kind of happening is that you're going into a high frequency, that you're literally disappearing out of your timeline and then kind of coming back in some way. Like, it's not just jumping timelines. I think you are in some cases, but I think you're also experiencing where you're raising your vibration so high that you literally like disappear for a little bit. Like, and because there's things that you're so, like, for instance, the bins. you were so connected to the bins because you were like, no, those are the things that tell me today's Thursday. And so they disappeared with you. And it's like, because you're so connected to that. That's what I feel.
So am I merging timelines then? What's happening?
You are, okay. So
am I literally shifting out of?
I feel like in the bin one, I feel like you went into a super high frequency and that you were resonating at a frequency that just like kind of took you out of that timeline for a brief moment. And then you were kind of back.
I only went to the toilet. Do you know what I mean? It's the Rachel thing. The toilet
in the bathroom.
Portal. That is a porcelain portal.
Yes, that's Rachel's portal. You're in Rachel's portal.
Yeah, it's glamour, huh? Yeah.
That's where Rachel goes in when she's always slipping off to the toilet.
Not on purpose, just by the way, Nicole, and it's nothing I designed.
Okay, Nicole,
you say?
No, just so you know, Rachel gets huge downloads when she's taking, in the words of Rachel, a wee.
That's the bath, but nobody mentions the bath, Nicole. Everyone's obsessed.
No, but you know why? Because you're moving energy, your water flows moving through, so you're flushing out stuff, and so comes the downloads.
Perfect sense.
I'm telling you, the toilet is one of those is a weird portal, but it is a portal.
It is a portal though. It is a portal though, because you know
that to be like the snippet for like next, for the
your toilet in the portal,
the flushing. Down, okay, got it.
I love it.
But you know though, the toilet. Do you know that in our house, our toilet lids are always closed, always closed, because toilet is where all your abundance comes in and can disappear.
It goes out.
Yes. With every flush, your abundance could disappear. Just letting you know.
What if you get a lot like me?
Over here.
I have heard that before.
It's a feng shui thing.
Yeah, it's a very feng shui thing.
But what if you're like a constant peer like me? Like I drink a gallon of water a day.
Right.
Just close your bathroom door.
Close it. Yeah, okay, yeah, you can close it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the door help?
Well, yes, in feng shui, the door does help.
Does it?
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I didn't know that.
Am I just not supposed to flush that often? Is that what I'm supposed to do?
No, flush, please.
No,
flush.
it's just you don't want the visible, yes. But also they say you should never have a home or space where when you walk into the bathroom, the toilet is directly in front of you, because then everything is just going straight in.
Straight down the toilet.
Yep. Just like a mirror, when you walk into a home and there's a mirror right in front of you, it's just reflecting everything right back. So you're not able to receive because it's going right back out.
Okay.
And that is your lesson in feng shui for today.
I gotta go run to the bathroom and close the door.
Hold on. Do renovation.
We've got to stop talking about the bathroom. I will have to go. Nicole, tell us. I want to hear about Nicole. Because she'll be the one that's had like some experiences like Amanda too, and I know it sounds crass, but I kind of feel like can you tell us something crazy?
My bike rack is.
Am I allowed to swear?
Yes,
you can swear.
Yeah, your bike rack is really is
a little bit more exciting than the bike rack.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. I think Yana's heard this one, but this one's gonna blow your fucking mind. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we love that.
So I'm here in Denver, Colorado, and I think this was in 2021, and it was March, and I was at dinner, like it was just a happy hour with a friend, and we were just sitting at the bar, and we just ordered a couple apps. I had I think 2 glasses of wine that night, and I remember, which 2 glasses of wine for me is like a nice just good night, like nothing crazy, and I remember we ended up ordering a dessert and a coffee. I asked for a coffee, which I never do, like at night. And so I knew that was keeping me a little bit more awake and alert than normal. And so we leave, and it's like not late. It's like 8:30 at night, like it was just an easy Friday. And so I get in my car, And I have my music and I have this wild song that just like gets my frequency so high when I listen to it. It just like amps me up. And so I get in my car and I'm listening to that, and I go under this the overpass of this highway that I have to go onto, that I always, I'm sitting under the underpass at the lights, and I'm waiting to make a left, and sitting beside me in the other lane, also making a left, is a white SUV. And so I remember the details. I was, okay. So the light turns green, and we go around, and I just take off, and I go right up the ramp, and I get on the highway. And so I'm heading back to Denver on what's called Highway 6. And so I can see the Denver city lights, which is east of where I am. I'm heading eastbound, and I can see Denver city lights, and I can see certain like streets that I know I pass when I'm leaving this particular intersection. So I'm driving down, and I'm like listening to music, and I'm so like, I'm just like amped up. I'm feeling it. And the next thing I know, I am in the mountains going in the opposite direction. I am now on a different highway. The highway is splitting, and I'm like, why is the highway splitting? This only happens when I'm in the mountains. And the next thing I see is the sign that says Lookout Mountain. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the foothills. I'm going into the mountains. How the hell did I just get here? And I was like, holy crap. So I got off at the exit, and I turned around, and I'm like, what the heck has just happened? And I am losing my mind. I'm like calling one of my friends. I'm like, I don't know what just happened. I just like bilocated, I don't know, quantum jump something. Like I am totally in a completely different place than I was a few minutes ago. It would have taken me at least 15 minutes at minimum to get to where I was, from where, and it like happened in a flash. And not only that, I was going in a completely different direction. I was going eastbound, and now I was westbound 15 minutes further than where I should have been. And I don't know what the heck happened. I didn't get off the highway. I didn't make a turn. I didn't like get on another highway. Like it's just,
So
boom.
why do you
That's
think
a portal.
it happens?
It's a portal.
But does that mean you've just gone somewhere else and done something else in another place, dimension? Like, why does it happen?
So
Oh,
I got home, and I'm like, I need to meditate. I need to know what the heck happened. And so I'm sitting in meditation. In my third eye, all of a sudden I see these two little beings over these devices in I don't know, you can call it a ship. I don't know what it was, but I see these two little beings, and they're whatever. And I saw that the force field around my entire car and me got like amped up, and I got moved. And so I was like, but why did I get moved? Like, I don't understand. And I asked one of my girlfriends who's very intuitive, and she's like, I'm getting that you were about to enter, you might have gotten into an accident.
Yes.
Do you remember that, Yana?
No, but that is what I was just thinking. So I'm like,
Yeah,
I
they said,
knew
and then it's not, they
you were
said
gonna
it
say
wasn't going to have been your fault. It would have been wrong time, wrong place kind of a thing. And you got removed really quickly out of the situation.
I want to know what song
Chill.
I'm listening to, because I need to be playing it when I'm driving.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you what song it
high vibe
is.
song?
I'm going to tell you what song it is, because it's one of my songs that I use to get my frequency so freaking high that I can manifest the shit out of anything.
Yes. Give us that song recipe. Thank you.
We need this.
Yeah,
I realize that. I didn't realize this was on the menu. So
This is not a typical meditation, or like, this is not going to be something that most people would say, oh yeah, that does it. This is not like a, what is it? Like a 432
Dre, isn't it?
hertz or anything like that.
It's gangster rap, isn't it?
No, it's not gangster rap, but it should be.
What if it was Def Leppard? Would you just die right now, Kylie?
On the spot.
I would die.
Off my chair, die. Off my
I would
chair,
die with
die.
Kylie.
Okay, so the name of the song is called Says, Says, and it's by Nils Fromm, Nils, and then his last name is Frahm.
Love it.
Checking
Right,
that
can you
out.
write this down? Send it to me.
I
Yeah.
Written
did.
it down. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, yeah. Put it in the group. Put it in the
Okay.
chat.
And it's this thing that like goes
We'll
up
put it in
into
the
a
notes.
crescendo. Like it works up into this major crescendo over like, I don't know, 8 minutes. And I don't know what it is. It gets me going, and I'm just, yeah.
Protects you from impending doom.
Yes, it protects you from
Kylie's gonna play it in the
impending doom.
car. And put it
On
like,
repeat.
let's
On repeat.
record you driving, and then you'll just all of a sudden be in a different place, and we'll be like,
Love it.
Come
The
to
Adventures of
Chicago.
Kylie.
And now I'm wondering, so I'm throwing something out there. So I have some friends who very much believe they've been abducted by aliens, right? So could they have been like, I'm a little bit like, this is a little pushing my acceptance level a little bit, but could that be like a weird portal thing now? I don't know.
Okay, so Denver, Colorado in particular, but Denver is known for a high activity of such things.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's the mountains. I don't know what it is here. But I had another weird thing happen to me. I think just a few weeks prior to this, I was at coffee with my girlfriend. It was a Friday morning. We met for coffee. It was 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're leaving, and I'm going home to go to like do my work. And I'm driving along this street that takes me straight to my home. And so I drive down it all the time. I'm driving down it. I go through an intersection, and as I come out of the intersection, all of a sudden, nothing looks familiar to me.
Yeah.
Nothing looks familiar. And I'm like, hold on a second. What's going on here? I know I'm on the right road. Why does nothing look familiar to me? And this went on for about 15 to 30 seconds, somewhere in there. And I'm starting to trip out because I'm like, I just had a coffee. Like, that's it. That's all I had was a coffee and a really good croissant. But I was like, what's going on? And so I'm freaking out, and I'm like looking around, and I'm looking at the streets, and I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden, like a glitch, and everything just went right back to normal. I knew everything again.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So
one-
the car and coffee for you, it's a combination. It's the coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee, you know, I
Crazy
thought it was the
coffee.
wine. I thought bilocation was activated by me drinking red wine, but maybe it is the
It's
coffee.
the coffee.
Oh, challenge
What are
accepted. Like, seriously.
What are the feels,
like,
Nicole?
I'm on this.
Do you know I have
Like-
that on my dating profile? That when I drink wine, I can bilocate.
Oh my God.
That is
pretty funny.
Love it.
Men will think that's some kind of sex move, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be some kink for someone out there.
Hey, Nicole, what are the feels like when this happens? Like, for me, I would find it sort of confusing, shocking.
It's confusing.
Maybe a little bit scary. But
It is.
if it happens so often, and you guys seem to understand it in the moment, I mean, like, if I'd got to that stage, I think it could be potentially really fun or exciting or intriguing. Like,
It's
have you
fun
ever tried
after
to
the
control
fact.
it?
Sure, after the
Yeah.
fact.
Because
Yeah.
in the moment you are very confused, and you're like,
Yeah.
what the F is going on?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because even though you can have all these instances, it can still trip you out because you're not expecting it. You're just going about your day. You're in your program of human life, and you're just doing your thing. Like, I was on autopilot, literally, like driving my car. And then I was like, is my car like a portal? Like, what's going on?
Are you driving a Tesla?
Yeah.
No, a little
Elon
Mazda.
program this into
Well-
the
well,
car.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Could be, isn't
that
it? Something futuristic. But you know what? I get that, because for a while when something happened to me, was it last year? I actually thought I was going to bump into the other version of me that was obviously walking around here making calls and things like that. Yeah, because I was going out with friends for dinner. One of them was going to be late. I think I've told this. One of them was going to be late. And she called me to say that she was getting into London late. So if I could call the restaurant and push the time back. So I said, yeah, okay, that's cool. I had another friend who was coming to meet me. So I tried to ring my friend that was already on her way, the other friend that was on her way. She didn't answer. So I thought, let me ring the restaurant. So when I rang the restaurant, the guy said, I said to him, hello, my name's Amanda. I said, I've got an appointment. And I went, no, not appointment. I said, I've got dinner booked for, and he goes, yeah. He said, you booked it for 7, but you've pushed it back to 7:30. And I said, yeah. So he goes, yeah, you've already done that. And I said, who did? He goes, you did. I said, I did? He said, yes, you did. I said, when did I do that? And he goes, about 15 minutes ago, you called.
Oh,
He said,
that would
and
be
you called
so
and you said,
inconvenient.
yeah, he said you called and you said that you've got a friend who's stuck in traffic. So you've pushed it back to 7:30. I said, I did that? And he said, yes, you did that. And I went, and so he goes, okay, bye. And he just puts down the phone because obviously they're busy. And I went, okay, bye. And I sat there for a moment. You know what? I actually sat down on the bed because I thought to myself, I said, I did? When did I do that? That's what I thought, when did I do that? But I couldn't have done it because I didn't have the information 15 minutes ago. I didn't have the information. Do you know what I mean? So then my friend who was close by, she called and I said to her, listen, what's the place? It's going to be late. I said, so don't go to a restaurant, come straight to me because it was round the corner. And so she goes, right, okay, cool. So when she got to me, I explained it to her and I said to her, like, did you call? She said, no, I didn't. She goes, well, why are you surprised, Mandy? Because right, because I call Mandy. She goes, things like this always happen with you. She goes, so why are you surprised?
Right.
And I'm like, I know, but I said, he had all the details. I never gave him. But when I came downstairs and I said to my husband what happened, my husband goes to me, did you call? I said, no, I didn't call. I said, I didn't call. I went back on my phone. There would be a recording of 2 phone calls. It would have the different times. I didn't call. I didn't have the information. When my friend arrived, I asked her if she had called. And she said, well, I'm not going to call. I don't even really know where we're going. She said, you're the one that suggested the restaurant. So that's why I said, she goes to me, that's why I called you, Mandy, and said, call them and set it back and put it back. And but I'll tell you what was really interesting when I thought about it. When I called and booked the restaurant, when I said to him my name, he started laughing. And so he goes, oh, so you're finally going to come in then? And I went, sorry. So he goes, oh, no. He goes, oh, I thought you were somebody else. He goes, oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So I got off the phone. I thought, well, that's really strange. I thought, oh, maybe there's like Amanda that's been ordering takeaways. Do you know what I mean? But when I got to the restaurant, it was an Indian we were going to. And my 2 friends are, they're Asian. They're Muslims. So they're Asian, Asian, you know what I mean, ethnicity. I walked in and the restaurant's packed with people and everything like that. And there were people queuing and everything like that to go and everything. I walked in and he walked over to me and he said to me, and I said, hi, Amanda. So he goes, yes. He goes, we've been waiting for you. He goes, we're just getting your table ready. And you're 3 and I was like, what is going on here? There's some Amanda walking around out there taking the mick. Do you know what I mean? She ain't paying for the damn dinner, but she's going around booking shit.
So
she's helping you out.
No,
I do wonder. Those are very like obvious examples for you guys. Like they're big examples, right? Not everyone would have those in their day necessarily. So I'm wondering, in terms of people noticing things that perhaps haven't had like such startling experiences, whether something like deja vu is, sort of, I've heard that before, I've had this conversation before. Like, is that something that could indicate that you've like, been moving around
time slips. For me, I understand them as time slips.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you.
You need to stop, Lauren, because what I was
That's
just going to say was
I know.
So when you experience deja vu, is that where you're at the intersection of 2 different timelines or realities? And it's one of those where you're like, you're crossing those paths, physically crossing those paths, and one of you is going to go here and one of you is going to go there. Like, that's what I was thinking of as Amanda was talking.
Me too. I was sitting here thinking that. So
I mean, we know like time is non-existent, right? Like there's no future, there's no past, it all is happening at the exact same time. So all you're really doing is experiencing a moment twice.
It's so wild.
Yeah. And because I think as well, with those kind of things as well, it is like you're experiencing a moment twice, but it's almost as if you have moved like forward and back in time. So you've already seen it and then you've moved back into, say, like it might be your more comfortable timeline of being, but you have made a little almost like a little jump or a little slip. Now I know people that can be that that they've had it happen to them many times, but on such a much more smaller scale, whereby they say, like I'm speaking to you now on my laptop, and in front of me, I've got like a ornament, a bottle, I've got pictures, I've got the plant, my plant pot is sat there, and there's another picture over there. Now, as I'm speaking to you and I'm having a conversation, I look back to the ledge and the plant pot is on that side and the bottle is on that side.
Yes.
It's switched. And lots of people experience that. And those are very, you know, they're not the big ones, but they're the ones whereby that to them says, I've moved, I've shifted.
Something's going on.
Yeah, something's going on. I've shifted. And so I always ask the question, what is it in that timeline that you need to be in that timeline? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why do I need to be in that space at that moment? Like, I've had conversations with my kids, and it usually happens more with my son, with my middle son, who's very, very spiritual, very intuitive, very psychic. And I've had 2 separate conversations with him whereby I've had a conversation whereby I went to tell him something and he said, Mum, we've already had this conversation. Couldn't have had the conversation with him because he wasn't in order to have the conversation. He wasn't in the house when I had the conversation with my husband first, and then I was telling him. And he said, I can tell you exactly where you were standing and exactly what you're going to say. And he did. And when I said to him, then we haven't had that conversation, he looked kind of confused, and then I felt worried for him. So I didn't want to frighten him. So I said, yes, I remember now. We had that conversation. We had not had it. We had not had the conversation at all. And then there are times whereby just recently we got into a massive argument because I said that we'd had a conversation. And he said, we've not had the conversation. You never said it, Mum. I said, we've had the bloody conversation. But my thing was, I said to him, I've got my paper trail. Where's your paper trail? That's what I said to him. This and this happened in order.
We got to see receipts.
Yeah. Literally, I said to him, I got receipts. That's my paper trail. Where's your paper trail?
Some of those things I do wonder if it's, you know, your psychic ability knowing the future. But I guess this is where some things sort of just kind of blend in, you know, and there are really no clear boundaries between one thing and the next, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so hearing these examples, Kylie, have you had an experience? Rachel, have you had anything that now you're like, that's what it could have been?
No.
Never.
Look, Kylie time shifted a spider.
Apparently, I've sent it along its way.
You sent
just
it
by my presence. I have a question. Can we like now I'm like, I want in on this. How do I get in on this? Can it be?
How do I do it?
Yeah,
I think like it all seems accidental to like.
It
this
does.
is what I mean. Have any of you done it on
me.
purpose? Is there something you can do that you can actually?
That's what I'm saying.
benefit?
I have shifted timelines in the sense of I know that I have shifted in sense of that's what I was saying, that when I can intend something and then I can step into that timeline.
Okay.
It isn't always the case, but that's what I've been practicing. That's what I've been working on. But I do know that I can do that. And I do tell people, I do tell clients that if you're to intend it, and then I said, you make a definite move, body movement, like you physically shift your body, like you either step forward or you step to the side, or never step backwards. I never step backwards. I always step either forward or sideways. But
Wait, what?
It's something that I'm playing with. So I would make a step.
It's like you're standing in your room and you're like, I want to get into this timeline, time frame, reality, whatever. And you physically
I step
forward.
Yeah. And then I look for evidence.
How
it shows up. But one time I stepped into a timeline, that timeline when I had the argument with my son about, I had this conversation because he was supposed to get me a pair of trainers, and he didn't get me a pair of trainers, but he said he had gotten them. He said they were on their way. And then when they didn't turn up 2 weeks later, he said, I never ordered anything. I never told you that. You wanted it. He said it wasn't going to come in time. But he behaved, it was really weird. He behaved in such a way that it was like, I didn't know him. That wasn't my son. It was really weird, you know? And then the next day, I just burst into tears because I was sitting down there on my bed. My husband went off to work. I burst into tears. And I just thought, I don't like this family. I don't like them. I don't know who they are. I don't
For
like
my
that.
other timeline family.
Yeah, I want my other timeline family. That was on the spot. That's how I was. I was thinking, I don't know these people. I don't know these people. Like, get me out of here. Yeah, I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here. I'm doing the podcast.
So,
now.
mums, when you're having a
God.
bad day, just set an
Yeah,
intention.
go to another
and step to the
timeline.
I'm
side.
so using this when I argue with my husband from now on. I don't know what happened. I was shifting timelines.
I know, Amanda.
I don't
like,
know.
I'm getting introduced to a whole lot of concepts for me to be more avoidant and make excuses. I'm like, oh, I was in a different timeline. That was a different
Yes.
version of me. I'm sorry.
I don't know what
Obviously, I
happened.
can't help. It wasn't even me.
I
Look like
know.
me.
I have to take
That's why I
accountability.
say
Was
it.
here.
was it hard for you? You
That's
know?
why I always say, somebody might say Amanda, and I go, it wasn't me. I wasn't there.
Oh, Amanda, stop
idea what
making
you're
it
talking
easier
about.
for me, honestly.
Nicole,
Anyway,
do
but in
you,
answer to your-
are you able to use it with your intention? Like, is that a practice that you have done?
I haven't tried actually like purposefully like you have, Amanda, like trying to step into an actual another timeline. I do things energetically to help get me there. Well, I do a lot of, it's not just energetic. So these are like some practical things that'll make sense to you ladies, Kylie, you know, and
Getting my notes out again.
yeah, Kylie and Rachel. So
Writing this
basically,
down.
I think about, okay, the version of me that is, okay, let's just say, okay, for instance, Rachel, what's something that you would love to see yourself living, but you're not living that right now, like whatever it is.
Oh boy.
Juicy.
Oh boy. Keep it clean.
No, don't like just do whatever.
Gosh, you know,
The spirits love dirty
wow.
talk.
No, it's like,
Oh, we like that.
I know, but
Good title.
it's just not genuinely where I'm at, you know.
No, you
like,
don't
I
need
wish
to
I
be
could
there
just
right
say something.
now, but I want to know, is there
I
someone
mean,
that you
like, I'm
would,
trying to think of what I desire.
You
and I'm
desire
really trying to think.
a home on an island in Greece where we're all going to
Oh
come.
yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's
Yeah.
do that.
okay,
Yep.
so you want to be on an island in a home in Greece.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
With a servant.
So
Wait,
see
but
yourself,
but this also includes all of us there too.
Yeah.
okay, well,
Yes.
That too.
naturally, I mean,
Yeah.
fried cheese,
Yeah,
I'm so there.
obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to
Okay.
imagine yourself there. And I want you to see
Mhm.
yourself walking through the home. I want you to see yourself looking out at that blue Greece water. Okay, all the white homes. And I want you to see it all. And I just want you to kind of, what is different about you there than you here?
Oh my goodness, I'm open and relaxed.
Okay,
Makes me
yes.
sound like I'm closed and uptight here, but yeah. I'm
Okay,
open and
okay, so
relaxed.
exactly. That's what I thought you were going to say. So
Mm.
what so like for instance, what I would do is I would start finding ways to bring into my daily routine that help me stay relaxed and at peace in my mind. So if there's a conversation that I'm thinking of having, but I know it's going to like cause more chaos or it's going to disturb my peace. And I'm not saying something that you like, it should happen. Like, it's just like, it's an optional thing. Right. And I start looking at ways on how to change my actual reality to match that state of mind and that frequency or that emotional state. And so that I'm like, okay, because that version of me knows how to get to Greece. Right. So for instance, for myself, when I look at myself as a successful business owner and me like reaching the levels that I haven't yet, but where I want to see myself, the one thing that I tune into and I see myself without a doubt is I am operating in a calm, peaceful place. Right. And so it's really interesting that you said that. And I'm like, okay, that means every time I go to make a business decision, if it feels rushed, if I feel hurried, if I feel anxious, I ain't making it, because the version of me who's successful never operates from that place. And so that's like a really practical way of how I start to like shift my timeline. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It makes total sense.
That is
and
awesome.
great
We're on
advice.
board.
That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
So that's
Thank you.
that's not like your kind of foo-foo kind of like, you know, like spiritual kind of stuff, which we all
Right.
love. But at the same time, like, I think there's a beautiful blend of when you can take the practical and you start blending it with the mystical and you let those two things work together synergistically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah,
but here's the
beautiful.
thing,
Thank you.
like, speaking to what Amanda was saying, like she's intentionally moving into a timeline. Once you start to understand the certain feelings of what's going on, you can start to feel different shifts in your body. So for instance, at my retreat last year, it was my first retreat that I was holding for everyone. And just before they were going to do their mushroom journey, I took everyone on a hike out in the mountains. And it was just a very casual hike. And we went out there. And well, something interesting happened along there that ended up showing up in someone's journey. But I'll tell you about that, guys, after. But we come back into the house, and as soon as we enter the house, and everyone's getting ready, everyone's getting ready for the ceremony and for going in. All of a sudden, I had to grab onto the wall, and I had to steady myself, and I just felt this wooziness come right over me.
Yeah.
And I had to sit down on the bench. And my girlfriend who was helping me facilitate, I said, I don't know what's happening right now. I feel like I'm going to fall over. I feel like really out of it. And I just kind of sat there for a moment. And then all of a sudden I got the message, like, you have opened up an entire portal above you, and all this high frequency energy is pouring into you, and it's going to filter through you into the retreat space so that you can hold the right amount of space for everyone they're about to go on their journey. And it stayed that way for me until the end of the retreat. Not even just that night, it stayed for another 36 hours. And it wasn't until I got home, like actually got home, where I felt all the energy stop. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted now. Like it was just, but it was so high frequency, and I was tuning into things that I never had been able to tune into. I was seeing celestial beings descending upon people. One girl, she was really emotional, and I was rubbing her back, and all of a sudden I saw this pink celestial being just descend over her and like start rubbing her back as well. And then another girl was a peach celestial being. This came in to kind of protect her. And I'm just like, what is going on right now? And it's just wild. But but I knew as soon as I started feeling like the wooziness, and I'm like, okay, hold on a second. And my head started buzzing like crazy. And I'm like, okay, now the energy is starting to come in, and I've got to be like a recipient for this energy so I can deliver it into the space.
Yeah.
But it also gave me capacity to hold more space, right? You have to be at a higher frequency. You have to be willing to hold more space, and that can be hard to do for long periods of time. So I am almost certain, and I'd be curious to know like what you say, Amanda, but I felt like my guides were helping to prepare me to hold more space for what everyone was going to be going through that I wasn't even anticipating.
Yeah, because that's happened to me before. I assist on the trainings, like the divine healing trainings, and that's what happens to me sometimes. And so sometimes sometimes though, it can make me feel quite, like you said, very woozy, very sick. I feel as if I'm going to swoon. So sometimes I go off camera because I literally think I'm going to be ill, and then I can come back. But one part of me at the time thought maybe I'm shifting, I'm just shifting all the time. But it did feel like that. So now that you've said that, I'm wondering now if that's what's been happening, because it's almost as if I change. Something happens, and I can feel it.
No, for you right away, when we first started talking and you first started sharing your stuff like an hour ago, I instantly was picking up that you are going into such a high frequency that you are pulling in energies, and you're literally vibrating. That's why they see you shaking, is because like you're moving, is because you're literally vibrating so much faster.
Crikey. Wow. But you know, well,
makes it sound like a paint machine.
But you want to know something? Okay, here's what I wanted to tell you, ladies. So this is another cool thing that happened. So we're all walking on this hike, like in this path through like the woods and the mountains. And all of a sudden, like someone goes, "Hey, did you hear that in the bushes?" Like over, and we're like looking, and I am like, someone else heard it as well. They're like, yeah. And we looked, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's just an animal. They're like, no. And then they heard it again. And they're like, it sounds like someone's following us. And I'm like, but there's no one there, right? We're all looking, and we're like, no, there's no one. It's not like the woods are really dense, right? They're pretty clear. And so we're like, I don't know, and so we just like, maybe they're just some spirits. We don't know. So anyways, go and everyone goes into their journey. Well, one of the girls ends up time traveling in her journey. She does some major time travel. She comes out of her journey. She goes, "Oh my God, it was
her?
me. I had gone ahead." She goes, "I saw us walking on the thing and I was there walking." And she goes, "I time traveled from the journey to see that." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's crazy."
I have
That is
chills
crazy.
everywhere. That is wild.
Yeah. Did you say you had that experience, Rachel?
No, but you
Oh.
know, interestingly, I have had that experience that you ladies are talking about with feeling incredibly open. Like it's a particular sort of feeling that I get. It almost feels like I'm in Australia. We have stormwater drains, and it feels like I'm a stormwater drain. This kind of rushing kind of energy, and I can also feel quite woozy, and swoon is exactly the perfect word for it. And so
It's a
weirdly, I've had
perfect
that
word.
feeling, but I'm trying to think of when that's happened. You know, like, I know it's happened to me in yoga a couple of times, but I'm going to have to, like, as you always say, Amanda, I'm going to have to start noticing things.
It's going to happen to you
Yes.
really soon again.
Okay, okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just carry a
Yeah.
pen and paper with you everywhere you go with everything you do, and you could write it down.
Well, I've got 1,000 WhatsApp friends now to just retell everything that's happening as it's happening. So we'll
But do
see.
you
I'll
remember,
let you know, Nicole, if
but
that's
I'll
the
just
case.
think, do you remember though, Yana, when we were doing your session and when we started your session and we got like a quarter of the way through and you said, "Hold on a minute." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." And you went, "We've done this before." And I was like, "No, we haven't."
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So we had
It's
a
like-
session, one of our light body sessions.
Yeah.
We start and Amanda starts going through the process. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I've already heard this, but I was like, maybe I shouldn't say anything because maybe I'm supposed to hear it again and it will change. And so I did interrupt you and I said, Amanda, we already did this because you said something specific. Oh, it was the crystal.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you're like, no, we didn't. And I'm like, yeah, we did. And I shared, I'm like, we said this, and that. And you had to go back in your notebook.
I had to go back in my notes it wasn't that I didn't believe you, but it was because I had no memory of it in my body. And that's crazy. You know, you have memory somewhere. It's all stored somewhere. I didn't have any memory of it. And the funny thing was that there's these two particular vowel breaks that we do before we do the crystals. And I had time stamped. I never time stamp when I'm doing the vowel breaks. There's no reason for me to time stamp it. So I time stamped at 12:43. We did the dark force vows. And that was the only way that my body could accept that, my God, we've done this, but how comes I have no memory of it? None. But then I realized, though, I think what I said to you was that I was going into a high frequency training the next day, really high frequency training, where I'm going to hold space for a group of, like, you know what I mean, really like high frequency. And I think a different version of me came into the body. And she had very little memory of what the other Amanda had done to Yana last week.
It better have been the right thing, okay?
Maybe this is how murderers get away with shit. I don't know.
Good night.
That is amazing.
I don't know. But anyway, but strange things happen though when you're around
Yeah.
other magical people though. You know,
Oh, yeah.
when you're around other
Yes.
magical people, the most amazing things happen. So yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
was-
love it. Okay,
it was
Kylie,
brilliant.
we need to
I'm
do
not prepared. Hold on.
it's okay. So we do our magical. Kylie will do a card pull before we're listen, no more rats.
I'm
Jack
doing
needs to be retired.
We had a frog and a rat last time.
Listen, the rat will come
Because
back.
what nobody knows except Kylie is that I think it was the next day or two from our last episode where you pulled that rat card. There was a rat in my dream. I woke up and there was a rat across my bed and I was like, what the fuck? Okay. Like that
Well,
cannot be a thing. Let's get it
That's
out.
payback for all the spider discussions.
Right. I love it. Okay, so what is our intention, Kylie, for these
Just
cards?
what's vibing for the week.
Okay,
So
fine.
whoever's listening to this,
Done.
we're vibing.
Done.
Do you know what's funny though? Sorry, Carly, just before you read it, that
Yes.
spider conversation was really quite funny because if you look at that clip, everybody's reactions were so hilarious. Your face, Rachel was like, Amanda. I think like every time now I'm going to kiss mine, I'm going to hear Amanda. Right? Lauren was like, to the left. Right? Kylie was like, you're doing God's work. You're doing God's work. And that's all I hear. It's so funny.
Everything about that was amazing. Amazing.
So today I pulled the cards because
Work your light.
and
It's not spiders.
We can't see.
why are you?
It's-
There we, no,
Turn
do
it up.
I have to do like
Yeah.
that ASMR?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
It is Work Your Light, Rachel Campbell.
Work your life.
Rebecca Campbell.
Yes,
Rebecca.
no rats. No rats. Okay, so very high frequency cards today. So thanks, Nicole, for
Thank you,
elevating
Nicole.
our whole group off of rats. So we've got the Akasha card. Your guidance is divinely guided. Okay.
Okay.
Then we've got
Guidance
this
is divinely guided.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're in a very, so I think if you're listening to this, you're going to be activated by the higher vibration, right? So you're going to be, I would be very aware of what's happening that week to see what's coming into you because it's of a different vibrational level. We're activating it. Sorry if you're
Okay.
listening to this and you don't want to be activated. That's too bad because you got to the end of the podcast. Sisterhood of the Rose. So this is very much the group together. Look at that. Whatever. Light. Too much light. And speaking of light, the pillar of light. So vibration is rising, knowing that you are divine. You're able to manifest just very high vibrational cards. That's all I can say. Just very vibrational. So very much good luck to you this week.
Is there any downside to high vibration?
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay.
You lose a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
and you can feel
this
nauseous.
person, and then they leave you, and then you're like, well, where's my high vibe? Well, it served you in a different way, right?
Yeah. And here we are.
And here we are. Right.
But you know what? Can I just throw in there? I think we are shifting timelines all the time. It's not just happening to
Right.
individual people. We are shifting all the time. And I think it's until we get to really know and understand, when we do all come to that understanding, that realization, and that the power is in our hands. Without knowing what's going on, the power's out of our hands. And so those, for me, the way how I see it, those that do know, and they're not such good energy, they utilize that ability, because that's how all the illusions and everything else is created. Because we can see to a certain point all the crap that's going on. We can see beyond the veil. We can see what's happening. Because many times when things are meant to happen and they don't happen, it's because a group or somebody or something has shifted the timeline. Simply shifted the timeline for all of us. So we come back to the beginning of where Rachel spoke about the fact that is there timelines for individuals, for all of us as separate people, and is there a humanity, a planetary timeline? And yes, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. So it's really about us, once again, coming back to that place of knowing who we truly are, knowing what it is that we hold, knowing ourselves as sovereign beings, and knowing our power, and stepping into that. And that's what it is. And that is about knowing who we are and being able to utilize that, because we are shifting timelines all the time. We just don't know.
Beautiful. I mean, there's nothing left to be said with that. And that was so beautifully said.
That's the perfect place to end.
Yeah.
Right.
So Nicole, we are so grateful for you joining us today.
Yes, thank you.
You're gonna have to come back again.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Why don't you
That's
let
what she
our
wants to be.
listeners know where they can find you?
Oh, okay. It's really easy. My website's NicoleFrolick.com, and all my handles, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, it's all Nicole Frolick, at Nicole Frolick. So easy.
Perfect. Yes, and we'll have it in all the details below. Thank you, everybody. This concludes our episode. Thank you for joining us. If you're interested in booking a reading, a healing, a guided meditation session, a light body activation, or simply just want to say hello, head on over to yoursoulwisdomshow.com. We thank you for allowing us to create this beautiful space, and we hope you have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you.